welcome to Casual Yelling, the casual conversation podcast with 85% less yelling. I'm Matt Elfring. How are you? This is a special edition because I'm reviewing a video game, which is different. Anyways, we're talking about WWE2K24, the showcase mode. Just the showcase mode. Reviewing the entirety of the game, which includes my GM, 2 versions of my Rise, my faction, universe mode, exhibition with a bunch of new special matches, and showcase mode, is impossible within the embargo time that was sent to me. I've said, is it possible having a kid and doing all this? No, it is impossible to do a full review of this game with that amount of time. So I did showcase mode, and I want to throw out these disclosures right away because they are important, and it is important I am full disclosure with you. Just a quick reminder that WWE 2K24 comes out on March 8th for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S. There's the Standard Edition, the Deluxe Edition, and the 40 Years of Wrestlemania Edition. They will be the last, Deluxe and 40 Years of Wrestlemania Edition will be released 3 days earlier on March 5th. That's it. Disclosure. 2K Games sent Casual Yelling early review codes for the game, which I played on my PC and Raj Ally. I'm just taking a sip of water and I'm not cutting it out. Continuing with disclosure. The review of WWE 2K24 mainly consists of showcase mode as a whole with some minor critiques on overall gameplay. I am under no obligation to review any part of this game, and reviewing 2K24 as a whole would be nearly impossible task before the set embargo date. I put it in writing on my patreon.com/I'm Matt Elfring. More disclosures. Thus far, I have played WWE 2K24 for a total of 14 hours. That's what it says in the writing. I'm at 18 hours now. Then there's some stuff about this video that I have in the Patreon that I had to cut off because of faulty video capture, which was my fault, not their fault. Okay, so showcase mode is one of the many modes that have become a staple in the 2K series, where it takes players on a journey throughout a wrestler's career. However, this time around, the focus is on some of the biggest and greatest WrestleMania matches that have happened over the course of 40 years. As long as the wrestlers have signed off on their likeness to get used, or they're not in AEW. But let's get the elephant out of the room. Like I said, there are some huge WrestleMania matches not included on the showcase, and that's pretty obvious because of likeness rights, or said superstars are working for other companies, and there's probably a few that just said, no thanks, and that's a bummer, but it's fine. There's still a lot to play here. No Daniel Bryan. Understandable. Let's talk about the general info for showcase mode. Again, there's a much needed disclosure that I have to get out of the way, and how I can talk about showcase mode. So it consists of 22 matches, which is about 16 minutes a piece on average for each match. And that's considering if you watch every cutscene and don't skip them. So considering those numbers, showcase mode takes up about 6 hours to complete in normal mode. And I had to repeat the final match of showcase mode twice because it was a little bit tougher. There was a little bit more going on. And so there are certain matches I cannot talk about in this review because of restrictions set upon me from 2K. That is fine. There's a reason I can't talk about some of those matches for people that are going to be playing showcase mode. So for the first time in the new showcase mode, we get a third-person perspective and narration for someone not involved in each match. In previous incarnations, it was Rey Mysterio and John Cena. They're narrating their stories through WWE and FCW and WCW, depending on the wrestler. And there are some hits and misses in doing it this way, primarily in the way of narration moves the story. Rey Mysterio isn't that exciting and didn't really do a lot of filler as a talker. His matches are great. I wasn't into his narration. John Cena came off as a little bit corny. I don't know. I just felt like John Cena just didn't do a great job leading narration. He's a great talker. He just didn't work here. This time we have Corey Graves leading the narration of the showcase, and he's also an on-screen presence transitioning between matches in kind of a green screen area. I don't know if it's green screen now that I look at it. It might be a real showcase. No, it's green screen. There's like a bunch of TVs behind him and computers like, hey, we're in production. We're talking about WrestleMania 5. And as a whole, his narration is great. It is fantastic. And showcase mode feels a lot smoother and cohesive because of this. Even though we are going through multiple matches with completely different wrestlers throughout history. Again, that's something I think they learned from last year with doing John Cena. I liked the first couple of times playing as Rey Mysterio in the first showcase. Then we get to John Cena, where you have to beat John Cena every time. And that was so refreshing to play as different characters. I got sick of playing the same character in showcase mode. And here, sure, you're going to be playing as the same character, I think, a couple times. It's hard to remember. But I should have taken notes. But you're playing as different characters, and it's a lot more fun that way. And additionally, in addition to Corey Graves, there are occasional interviews with wrestlers in the matches you're playing. You know, you'll see Hulk Hogan talking about his match with Randy Savage. I'm just going to blow on Stone Cold's in there too. I know that's past where I'm supposed to talk, but the game's out. Whatever. So each match, there's transitions between actual gameplay and then archival footage. We've seen it before in the last two games. It's nice. It continues to serve its purpose. It's a solid addition to the game series. But there are 3 moments where it is the biggest hindrance in all of showcase mode for, well, this year. 3 matches in particular. I cannot mention any of them at this time. I know I've already kind of broken the rule where I mentioned where I'm supposed to, but I want to let you play it. The reasons that there's a lot of archival footage make sense. But one of them, I swear, I actually screen capped it originally, then I couldn't use it because of, again, restrictions from 2K games. But half of it out of the 16 minutes was archival footage. And you could tell because of who is involved in the match and what's going on that, man, it is, considering the context of the match, it makes sense. But it's one of those moments where they could have just made cuts to the archival footage to shorten the length of the match overall. Seriously, it is almost 8 minutes of 8 minutes of archival footage in this match you're supposed to be playing. I didn't time it exactly, but it was more than half or half. Here's a second match where it's the same kind of thing, but there's no issues with who is in the match or what's going on. So I understand. I don't understand because it's a good match, but it's like, why am I watching all these cutscenes? Why are these cutscenes so long? I don't need to see all this in real time. Just kind of get me from, do the transition, get me to the next point you want to make. You know, you don't have to show me every single moment from point to point of archival footage. I have Peacock. I can go watch these pay-per-views anytime I want. So there's a third match where the cutscenes I'm pretty sure they are longer than the match itself. Again, can't mention which one, but this is the only WrestleMania match where you have to show every cutscene for the context of the match for it to make sense. It is a bonkers match. If you are a fan of WrestleMania, I'm pretty sure I've given you enough clues to figure out what match this is. And if I haven't, have mercy. That was another one. All right, let's talk about objectives. You know what was a pain in the butt the last few times I was playing Showcase, the past 2 incarnations? One objective at a time. Like, you got to punch Hulk Hogan in the face. And you would spend your entire time trying to hit this one move, and sometimes the reversals were so ridiculous that you could never get it in. This has all changed this year. So no longer will you have to complete one objective at a time, piece by piece, dragging your heels playing the game. It is a tedious experience. You can do 2 objectives at one time. And at times, the objectives overlap. So you'll be like, let's say you have to deal overall damage. but also focusing on their legs. Those are two objectives. So you could damage the person's legs, the opponent's legs, and it'll feel the meter for legs, but it'll also feel the overall meter for damage. And I love it. I think it's a huge improvement in showcase mode. It's probably one of the best one of the best improvements of showcase mode in general for this year. My minor complaint is the objectives could be a little confusing. The wording could be better, especially when you look at showcase mode compared to undisputed mode, which I played a little bit of the other night. It'll say things like, because you're connecting to archival footage, Irish whip the opponent into the southeast corner and do a light attack. The wording in undisputed mode would be Irish whip the opponent into the lower left corner and do a light attack. And I know that may not seem like a big deal to you listening. To me, it is. Because there's no cohesiveness between vocabulary between showcase and undisputed. And there are a lot of similarities. Sorry, I'm so tired. A lot of similarities between the two and how they play in game. Because sometimes in game with undisputed, you're completing objectives. There's other things where it's like bring the character outside the ring, near the entrance ramp, and do a scoop slam. It feels too specific because you get up to the opponent and grab them to do the scoop slam, and it'll cut to archival footage of them punching each other. It's like, why do I got to do the scoop slam? It doesn't matter. Also, why do I have to be near the ramp? Just fill it in for me. You know, sure, have me do the scoop slam. Then, I don't know. I was like just a little bit annoyed with this because sometimes things didn't line up. I'd be near like the tables or the tiles. I'd be near the tables, have to hit them, and it didn't like register. And I'd have to move like a foot, in game 1 foot, and it would hit. I'd be on the entrance ramp or right in front of it. It wouldn't hit because I needed to be a little bit more on the mats. So like game detection was on occasion, minor complaint, on occasion could have been better. If you like people's faces being blurred, you are going to love showcase mode. If you love people's faces being blurred, you're going to love showcase mode. Okay, let's get this out of the way. You can't have the WWF logo in a WWE game because the World Wildlife Fund has the rights to that logo. Not the logo, but calling themselves the WWF, which is the funniest thing in the world. So there are so many people having their faces blurred out during the archival footage. It is so distracting. Obviously, it is a likeness rights issue. That's it. But when you see Honky Tonk Man's face blurred, but you notice he's included in the DLC, you're a bit confused. Obviously, showcase mode was done. The game was ready. Honky Tonk Man was approved for DLC and his likeness rights were acquired in this weird gray area. And they're like, well, the game's already out, so we can't go back and unblur his face because the game is out. The majority of the rest faces are blurred. I know that's Earl Hebner. I know it's him. Come on. Just show me that, Earl Hebner. Some of the commentators' faces are blurred as well. Hi, Jim Ross. How you doing, JR? You're not listening to this. There's a few people in the front rows of early Mania matches that are blurred again. It is so distracting when you get to the archival footage because you're focusing. I have an image on my Patreon, patreon.com/Matt Elfring. I'm Matt Elfring. I have an image of Miss Elizabeth walking down with security guards around her. And all you can see are like, there's so many just blurs. But it's like that a lot in the archival footage. Again, that's weird because I could go on Peacock and watch it all. But streaming services compared to video game likeness rights are a completely different thing. Let's talk about the match selection overall for WWE2K24 Showcase Mode. I'm 41. I'm soon turning 42. I'm turning 42 in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And I wish there was more of a focus of the 1980s and early 1990s here. There's a lot of 2000s and 2020s. And I didn't even do the math. I'm just kind of doing this from memory. I'm not saying WrestleMania 13's Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow needs to be on the marquee. It should. But who wouldn't want to play like WrestleMania 9's Bret Hart versus Yokozuna? The match that ended with Yokozuna winning and then Hulk Hogan coming out with a black eye to then have a post-match win with Yokozuna. And that match makes zero sense. I would love to play it. And old school WrestleMania fans, who wouldn't want to? Muhammad Ali is in this game. But who wouldn't want the really weird Mr. T versus Roddy Piper boxing match? What was that, WrestleMania 3? 2? I think it was 2. I just remember because the commentary the woman who's doing commentary, I don't remember her name or what she was famous for, but you could tell she was a famous person just doing commentary, but she just kept the entire match going, come on, T. Oh, come on, T. Big Mr. T fan. Come on, T. Again, there's a lot of oddities, not the faction, but also put the oddities in this game. A lot of oddities in showcase mode that 2K really could have dived into here. And this is coming from, me, 41 years old, loves weird storylines, and a person who thinks that Right to Censor was the perfect answer to the Attitude Era, and it was so far ahead of its time. And again, that last statement, if you disagree with me, you're wrong. Right to Censor was great. If you play showcase mode, there are a lot of unlockables, a lot of different wrestler looks, and that's a double-edged sword. If you love showcase mode, you will really enjoy the characters and the arenas that you unlock. If you don't like showcase mode, you are going to be so annoyed you can't access this content unless you beat all the objectives and the 22 matches for the mode. But it's satisfying to unlock them. But again, I know people that don't touch showcase mode. It's not their thing. I always play it. It's like that in my GM and my Rise. I like my Rise and I like Universe kind of. My Faction's the one I don't like. I don't care for my faction. And then I'm always like, why is this a thing? And then I'll talk to people who really enjoy it. I'm like, okay, it's just not for me. Let's talk about a rad new game mechanic that I'm super in love with. There's a couple new things or whatever, but we were introduced to trading blows. It was a mechanic that was introduced to me during one of the matches, and it's happened to me a couple times in exhibition mode. The first time I skipped the tutorial for the mode, and I had no idea how to play. I was like, what am I doing? So you got those little circle thingies, right, that go around where you have to like press a button. And you hold the button down. There's a green bar area and a yellow bar area. You got to hold the button down. This line moves around to fill up this bar. And you got to unpress the button when you're in the green or yellow. Green means you kind of go back and forth with the person because they have that same mechanic of circular hold button thing. If you get in the yellow, that back and forth mechanic is done and you win. Or, as I found out this morning, not mentioned in my review showcase mode that's written up, you can taunt. I mean, you can like hold, you can also do like pick which type of blow you want to, blow sounds so bad. What type of punch back or hit you want to do by using the left analog stick, and then hitting the button. But instead of like loading up the meter to punch back, you can just taunt the person. I was playing as Jimmy Uso, and I'm just like, I taunted, and he just pointed to his chin like, hit me again. And then it was the other person's turn to go. I love that. Great. It's a great mini game. I don't know how it starts. I have no idea how to like get the trading blows thing to happen. It has happened to me seemingly random a couple times. Let's talk about the other new gameplay mechanic I really like, throwing weapons at people's faces or their bodies laid on the ground. Into it. You just hit the circle or the B button, depending on what system you're playing on. And once you have a weapon, you just throw a weapon at a person. It's great. It is so satisfying. It's the best way to get rid of a weapon. Because sometimes it'll just be stuck in your hands. It's like, okay, square, square, X, X, square, square, X, X, X. And you're just hitting them over and over. And it's like, okay, like left button to drop it. That's it. This time it's like, no, I've hit you a bunch of times. Guess what? I'm going to back up, wait for you to stand up, and I'm going to throw this chair at your head. And it's going to knock you down, and I'm going to laugh about it. Let's go to another complaint. And this is the biggest complaint that I have about the game as a whole. This is not about Showcase. This is more about a gameplay mechanic or gameplay look that I hate it so much. It's camera angles and referees. The camera in this game is lower. It makes you feel like you're kind of sitting in the hard cam section, but like 3 rows closer to the ring. Like the look is good. I'd say I would borderline say great. But it is fine when the referee gets in front of the action. The ref gets in front of the action a little bit too much, and when you're doing any type of camera cut away to like showcase a move, it is impossible to see. I can't see behind the ref or in front of the ref. The ref needs to go transparent. I don't care if it takes away from the simulation aspect. It's not going to give me, cognitive dissonance. Be like, this isn't real. This is a video game. Like, it's not going to take me out of the action if you just turn the ref transparent. But you know what does take me out? Seeing a ref right in front of me while someone's doing a big move, whether it be me or the opponent. I don't want to look at someone's back during the match. Make it an option to kind of change the camera angle. Maybe there is an option to do that, but I couldn't figure it out. Again, I was playing pre-release, so who knows? Let's get to that conclusion. I think this is easily the best showcase mode in a 2K game yet. I mean, the bar is not exceptionally high. I thought John Cena's was great, a great addition. I think this is the way they should go, personally. I think it should be showcasing pay-per-view matches or title matches. That's how it should go. Big title match moments, big Royal Rumble moments, big... I don't think you could do Money in the Bank at this point, but Royal Rumble Survivor Series you could easily do. King of the Ring you could do. That'd be a lot of fun. You could do Brawl for It All. But this is the 40 Years of Wrestlemania really, really works. You're getting 22 matches. One of them is kind of like not a real match, but it's 2K always puts the fun match at the end. Like, it doesn't really exist, but here you can do it. And 2K and Visual Concepts have made the mode better and better every year. Like, it makes the previous incarnations look like garbage in hindsight. And that kind of sucks that, like, I can't look back at John Cena's from last year, Rey Mysterio's from 2 years ago, and be like, this is garbage because the new one is so good. Corey Graves leading the narration is the best thing they could have done. He's a great talker. He's fun to look at on screen. The interviews with wrestlers that were introduced in some of these matches were really, really nice to kind of vary it up. Even if you don't like Showcase mode, I think it's worth checking out. Showcase mode people are going to love the hell out of this. People that don't like Showcase mode, I feel like they could get into this. I mean, I have some minor complaints about things, mainly super long cutscenes, couple gameplay issues. Just change the camera angles, please. But in the grand scheme of Showcase mode, it is worth playing to go through the history of WrestleMania. Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow should be in the game. Just going to throw that out there. But also part of that game is the press conferences leading up to it, because that was also so weird. Here's my score for Showcase mode, WWE2K24. I score it 17 school libraries out of a lion's den, because scorers for games are dumb. This is coming from a person that has to review a television show coming up, and he'll have to put a score in there. My personal bias is scores and ratings are stupid. Read what people write, listen to what they say. I think you have a pretty good idea. I'm very positive over this. I'm going to go over some other things that weren't written in the review. I didn't even really read the review. I just kind of talked about it. But there's pretty much a full showcase screen video cap on my patreon.com/I'm offering. So I'm playing on PlayStation 5 PC in Raw Jolly. Raw Jolly is a handheld PC. And the handheld PC issue with I did have a couple issues with showcase mode and Raw Jolly. Archival footage got real shaky, but I didn't have the same problem on my PC. I think my Raw Jolly is more powerful than my PC is a gaming PC. I don't know all the specifics. I'm not a computer nerd. I'm a word nerd. I'm a podcasting nerd, I guess. Few issues with that, but I'm playing my GM. It is super duper expanded. I say super duper expanded because there's new GMs, there's new arenas, shows that you can, be the GM of that brand. You can do trades. Yeah, you have talent scouts looking for talent. There's ring experience. There's a lot of new stuff going on in my GM. My GM came out 2 years ago. It was bare bones, but it was good. Last year's version, better. This year's version, so far it's great. And I'm at a place where I'm like, I don't know how they can make more improvements. You can do tag team callouts now. That was my big complaint. Was like, I'm in a tag team rivalry. Why can't my tag team call out that other tag team? There's a bunch of other new promo stuff too. Like there's a lot going on there. New match types, all that. Can we just talk about new match types for a second? Special guest referee mode is fantastic. I love it so much. You can be a bad referee. I talked about this with Brian Williams probably I think last week or a couple of weeks ago on Casual Yelling, the podcast, this one. There's also the video on YouTube. There's no video for this. I don't feel like doing video. We talked about special guest referee. You can be a bad referee, and then eventually a new referee will come out. But there is like a referee bar where you're trying to be a good referee, or again, you can be bad. I was always trying to be a good referee. Some people have referee outfits. Some don't. The toy version of Cody Rhodes, or the elite version, I guess it's called, is fantastic, but doesn't come with a referee shirt. But you can make referee apparel, like with your characters. I didn't get to jump into create a wrestler mode too much because of how the game was being released and kind of things that they were doing with the actual release and behind the scenes stuff. So I didn't really mess with create a wrestler very much. There's the ambulance match and casket match. Both of them are the exact same match. And I mean that in real life. Probably more so than the game. In real life, the In real life, the objective of both of these matches, casket match and ambulance matches, put wrestler in thing and make sure they can't get out. With casket match, you put them in a casket. With ambulance match, you put them in an ambulance. That's it. I would say overall, the ambulance match may be a little bit better. Not by much. The casket match, I like the idea because the casket's right next to the rope. That if you have the casket open, because you have to open it before you can put the person in, you can just strong Irish whip them into the casket. And then from there, you got to hit close, play the smash button minigame. That's it. Ambulance match, you can jump off top of the ambulance. You can throw the person at the ambulance. I'm sure you could throw the person at the casket on the side of it in casket match. I just never did that. Ambulance match, you can jump off top. You can do all these kind of a little bit more fun. Not by much, though. And then when you get into the actual locking the person up in the ambulance, you got to close one door, smash button minigame. Then you got to close the other door, smash button minigame. I found that a little more frustrating than casket match, but they're both good matches. I mean, it's fine. I didn't get to do gauntlet matches yet. I feel so dumb for not having done those. Because there's the gauntlet match where you got to go against 30 people. And gauntlet match is just like you're there, you got to beat somebody, you stay there, you got to beat somebody, you stay there. And you could go through a whole roster. And it sounds like fun, but there's, again, with 2K24, with all the 2K games, since Visual Concepts took over after Ukes left them high and dry for 20, was it? It was 20. Since they took over, there's always been a lot going on in the 2K games. Always. But it's gotten to a point where there's just a ton going on, and it's hard to remember everything happening. So, yeah, I mean, I wish I could review this game as a whole. I got it a week ago. I've got a kid and a wife. I've got work that pays me. This isn't paying me. I get $0 from doing this unless you subscribe to my Patreon and give me money. You're not, let's be honest. That's fine. Enjoy this content for free. Or just subscribe to this on Apple Podcasts. Do that, will you? Rate and review. Why are people texting me this much early in the morning? It's not even early, it's 9. I've been up for 2 hours. Anyway, that is my review of Showcase Mode. If you like what you heard, again, Apple Podcasts, subscribe, Spotify, whatever. Subscribe to Patreon. You can do it for free, or there's a $5 a month level. $5 a month level gets you video access to the podcast and special spin-offs of the podcast, which we've done a little bit already. And audio versions are always going to be free. Patreon, you also get some of my writing. I do write a lot. Mainly, you can see my writing at GameSpot right now. But I also do some writing on Patreon. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. You know, thank you for listening. I'll be doing some gameplay on probably Twitch and YouTube in the upcoming days. That's about it. Thanks for listening. Bye.